Hi guys, it's me, Barb, and I have played so much Palworld this week, and I have 25 tips that I would have found useful for me in the beginning that I wanted to share with you guys. So without further ado, let's get into it because that's a lot to get through. Tip number 1, this is early access. There may be some bugs, most of them tolerable, and there's not that many honestly with this game, but there is one of note that is quite important. Critical bug notice. An issue has been observed where save data may disappear in single player and multiplayer online. You can see this in the patch notes ready to load into the game. Click on this Palworld Q&A. If you go down to section 5 here, this has information on how to back up your save data. I play on Steam and PC, but make sure that you are protecting your save data. I back up my save data every day after I play. Tip number 2. When you create your world and your character, spend a little bit extra time on your character creation, because right now you can't change it. Later, they are planning on adding that in to where you can change the way your character looks, but for now, make sure that's something you want to look at. Tip number 3. Whenever you create your world or go back into the world, load the game, you can change your world settings. Feel free to play around with these to your heart's content. I started by playing on normal, because that was roughly where I like the settings at. And I went in and I made some custom changes. I upped my PAL spawn rate. This can affect your game performance, as noted here. At 2.5, I was getting double bosses, so I put it back down to 1.5, and it feels nice and lively. I don't like when my stuff drops and I have to go back and pick it up. That's one of the few things I don't like about survival games, so I turned that off. Also, with it being early access, you may encounter bugs or things that cause you to die of no fault of your own, and it's quite a pain in the butt to go back and get your stuff. You can set this to whatever you want, but I enjoy my stuff not dropping on the ground and me having to run back and get it. After about 16 hours in, I also turn my raid events off because I do a lot of decorating and base building, and I like being able to use wood and not have it burn down. But you can always turn it back on. You can change any of these settings. Feel free to play around with whatever you might like to. You can always change it back if you are not enjoying how you set it. So without further ado, let's get into tip 4. As soon as you load into the game, I highly recommend going in to your options. Go down here to options again. Go down here to controls. Here are your keyboard and mouse controls. Here are your controller controls. Whatever you're playing on, set these to what you like. I found when I looked through that roll was set to control by default, and if you're WSD and having to go down to control all the time, it's kind of a pain in the butt, so I changed that to V for myself, because you're going to use that a lot when you get into boss battles. But just go through and make the controls something that you are going to like, especially if you're used to another game. You can edit these to be whatever you want. Tip number 5, spend a good amount of time placing your PAL box. Scout out a location. You don't have to place it immediately. Just get to where you have a torch. You can wander around and be just fine with a torch for a little bit, but spend some good time, because where you place it is going to be where it's at for a bit, because it's a pain in the butt to move it. And when you initially place it, you can pick it up, put it back down quite easily. If I had to move this now, it would be hard. And you can see that blue outline around the edges. That's going to show you where your base will have to fall within, and you can build around certain obstacles. Like I have a part of my area is a pond, but I build buildings up into it, so I don't mind too much. But if it's super hilly or lots of basically layer changes, it's going to be hard for your pals to navigate, because they aren't the best at navigating right now in early access. The other thing with your PAL box is this is the front of it, but when you teleport to your base, you spawn back here, and when you summon your pals, they spawn behind there as well. So don't put the back of this up against a wall or anything. And if you want a storage chest, you could place it right next to it to make your life a little bit easier. I would have placed that slightly different had I known, but for now I'm just going to go ahead and leave it. But spend the extra time, you will thank yourself later. Now that brings us to tip 6. When you are placing things in your base, your pals are going to take the path that is shortest. So I put chests down next to each thing. You can see here in this one, they're bringing seeds here mostly, and some nearby sticks and stones and wool. But if you place a chest near each thing, that's probably where they're going to take the stuff. And you will find some weird things here and there, but I highly recommend placing a chest next to each area. It will make your life easier. And if you want a chest that they aren't going to mess with too much, place it up in a structure like so. So I put like my PAL materials up here, and there's only one thing that's ended up in here that I didn't want. So it works quite well. This is my weapons ammo, and it's going to help you not go insane trying to keep your storage straight. If you really want something out of the way just for you, place it in a place it's going to be very hard for them to get to. So over there, that box they put nothing in, that big old PAL box, and I can use that for massive storage. But honestly, whenever you are crafting or cooking, it pulls from all storage. You aren't going to have to worry about it too much, but it is going to make your life a little bit easier. Now, kind of the opposite for tip 7. If you want your pals to help you with handiwork, so like crafting and stuff, if you put your tables and benches inside a building, they are far less likely to help you. Place these outside. Place them on the ground. So like your cooking, your crafting bench, your medicine bench, your pal bench, all of these things, if you place them outside, they are far more likely to come help you than if you place them inside. Now, talking about the pathing issues, that brings us to tip 8. In the upper right hand corner, you see base info and your pals. You might see them getting sick or hungry, and you'll go and be like, what's wrong, buddy? And they're stuck on top of a tree or in a fence. The easiest way to prevent this, because if it goes too long, they will starve and get sick and need medicine. Just come here, and if you don't see a working hammer, it's possible they just may be walking. They might be stuck. So unsummon them, resummon them. And if in doubt, just take all of them, unsummon them and resummon them real quick. That's going to help you avoid having sick pals and having to use medicine early in game, because that adds up quite quickly. Tip number 9. Don't forget to assign your points. You got a couple places for those. This statue here is Anubis. He looks a bit like Riolu, but when you see him as an actual pal, he looks very much just like Anubis. If you go into your enhanced player capture power, this is going to let you capture pals more easily. You will find these green glowing balls around the world. Grab them all. They're Lipmunk effigies. You need them for this. The higher this is, the easier it is to catch pals. If you go into V, or it is different on controller, whatever button it is for you, you can go in here and you can enhance your pals with pal souls. It is going to be your pals in your team that show up, so put the pal you want to enhance on your team, come over here and enhance away. That's going to make them stronger. Also, go into your menu, into technology, assign your technology points here. You get these as you level. You can also get these through various other ways throughout the game. I don't want to spoil too much, but you will get a lot of technology points. And ancient technology points, you want to make sure and assign these as well. One of the first things you get is the egg incubator, and you can discover a lot of cool pals just through hatching them. So make sure and use these points, guys. Make sure and use these points. Tip number 10. Catch 10 pals of every kind. Now, catching doesn't just count as literally catching them. When you unlock breeding, if you breed a pal, get an egg and hatch it, that will count as catching the pal as well towards the 10 bonus. And the same if you just find a wild egg out and about and you hatch it, that also counts towards the catching bonus as well. So I'll show you right here. Let's see if this is one I already have. I got a Wixen, and I got some experience bonus because this is my 3rd Wixen. Very, very cool. So make sure and catch 10 of each as you go. That will add up over time quite quickly, and you can come into your pal deck and see, like this Sparkit, I've only caught 7 of 10. But if you stay on this as you're going, you're going to get a lot of experience from it, and it is very good experience. It's not a small amount of experience at all. Tip 11, your best points to put stats in are health, stamina, and weight. Weight is what lets you carry stuff. Stamina is your running or climbing bar. It goes down. It makes it a lot easier to move around, to have stamina. And health is it's basically your HP, your health. You don't want that to hit 0. Put as much as you need in there, but I highly, highly, highly recommend to put a good amount in weight and stamina and health. Attack doesn't matter too much because you're going to use your pals mostly for attacking, same for work speed. And defense, you can get a lot of that from gear, and honestly, if you just don't get hit too much, you should be fine. Tip number 12, build your second base way sooner than you think you should. As soon as you go into the base upgrades, and this is max number of bases 2, I highly recommend placing your second base because you're going to need a lot of ore, and I recommend your second base be for ore and coal. I placed my second base up here. I'll show you where it is on the map. This base might be a little loud, I'm sorry guys. But up here, this is my second base. It's to the east of the sealed realm of the Guardian right there. It's not that far from the beginning, but it will probably take you a bit to get here. This is the only spot that I've seen that has both coal nodes and ore. Also, these guys are going ham on these rocks. If you make this a mining base and you process your ingots here, you are going to have more than enough ingots and ore and everything to keep your gear repaired and to build structures that you want to build. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a lot of time wandering and mining that you could just be playing the game. One thing I do recommend on your second base, I wanted to keep this simple for them. I've seen a few different base builds, but I still want a place where if I was out here and let's say I needed to go to sleep, I could. So I made a little house underneath their place where they process the ore. So make something for yourself too. Don't just, oh, sorry guys, it's hard to get out this door because of how I did this. But don't just make it simply for your ore, but do make it for your ore also because you're going to need a lot of ore. And what I recommend is keep one chest out here. They will be forced to bring everything to that one chest, and it's going to make your life a lot easier. My pals were getting stuck on top of this, and you can use another chest, but if you do, you're going to have to do like some sort of wall if you want a grappling hook back and forth between there and here. So I used these, and honestly, I should have done this way sooner. I didn't do this till probably, I think, my late 30s in game, so my life would have been a lot easier. I spent a lot of time mining that I just didn't have to. So let's get back to home base. Now, when you unlock breeding, you can unlock a ton of pals way earlier than you can catch them in the wild. A prime example of this is Anubis. Anubis is fantastic for early gameplay and for your base. He has handiwork 4, that is so fast, mining 3, really, really good, and transporting 2, which is nothing to scoff at, and he's a ground type with ground abilities, and I don't want to spoil too much, but get him soon. He will make your life a lot easier. Now you may be asking, how do I get Anubis? Well, he's a level 49 boss. Unless you breed him. Now, to breed him, what I recommend is, let me grab this for you guys real quick. This website, it is palworld.kimpton.io. I'll put it in the description. You have a breeding calculator, parent breeding discovery, pal matrix, and if you go in here, parent breeding discovery, I said desired child Anubis must have this parent none. It's going to give me every option. The easiest one to get him early is with Pen King and Bushy. You breed them together, you get Anubis. Voila, all of a sudden you're like level 15 and you have Anubis who is helping you make stuff super quick and doing mining stuff for you, and it's amazing. So play around with this. You can get a lot of pals way earlier than if you waited to get them in the game naturally. So definitely play with breeding. It will reward you and you will get some darn cool pals. Tip number 14, get a ground and flying mount ASAP. It's going to make your life way easier. I have Piran Noct currently in Van Worm Christ, but if you get a Dire Howl early on or an Ecthier Deer, those are great early game ground mounts. You can also get this Nightwing. He's okay. You can get him early and he flies, so that's what matters. You'll get better mounts as you go. This Van Worm is quite nice, and you can breed it into the Van Worm Christ. And there's a ton of great flying mounts and ground mounts. Don't hold off on getting those. Get those early, and your world will open up a lot more quickly. Tip 15. Whenever you see mats on the ground out in the world, whether it's a stick, a stone, an ore node, a piece of wool, a piece of leather, pick it all up. You're gonna need it all, and you can just come back whenever you're at home and drop it off in a chest. Save everything. You're gonna need a lot of it. It's gonna make your life a lot easier. Tip 16, when you first place your base and you unlock berry farms, as soon as you unlock berry farms, put at least 2 down. I put down 4. They are super useful. They will keep your pals fed. Sorry, I can't speak, guys. and they'll also keep you in the money. So my guys bring the berries over here. I've got like 10,000 berries. I don't need 10,000 berries. Oh, press that sort button. It will reset your timers on these. These are kind of messed up. So if I went and I sold like these 1,000 berries, that is actually a lot of money at the vendor. And you can keep as many as you want. Realistically, I don't need to keep 1,000, more than 1,000, sorry. So if I took this 10,000, it's going to weigh me down to 2,500, so it's kind of a pain in the butt. But every once in a while, I take about 3,000 of these. The vendors sell them, and it gives me a lot of extra money. Whatever you put first in this feed box is going to feed them first. So if they're low on sanity, put things like cotton candy, jam-filled buns, things that give sanity earlier, or cooked berries. If they're not, put your berries in the beginning, because it doesn't matter for them to restore sanity if they don't need it. And they will eat whatever's first in that box. Tip number 18, talking about selling your berries, there's a very useful vendor. So if you go here, this is our base. This is where you started out. This is my base. I'm going down here. If we go here, this is the small settlement. I'm going to teleport there. Unlock that teleport point as soon as you can. There's 2 useful vendors here that you need. There is a particularly useful one here at the base of the hill. This guy in the red jacket. He sells a lot of candy things, but he's also where you can sell your berries. So if we wanted to go in and sell some berries, I only have 20 on me, but 20 berries is 100. And you can imagine if I brought 1,000, that's a lot of money that adds up. I had 120,000 money earlier. I spent it mostly here because I ran out of milk. I definitely ran out of milk, and then I wanted some other materials for my second base, so I bought a whole bunch of these. It's a lot easier just to buy these things when you have a ton of money, because I can very easily get 100,000 of the currency, the gold, but farming these things takes a lot of time. So oftentimes it's faster to earn the gold and then come buy the materials here. You can also get cool schematics from this vendor. I'm wearing the bunny ears. I have the witch hat in my storage, and you take these to your table, you can craft them, and then you can look cool also. So very, very fun vendor. The other vendor up here is for pals. If you've caught a whole bunch of extra pals, not only they're going to take up their storage, but you're going to have some that just aren't as good as other pals or have bad stats on them. You can talk to this guy. You can sell your extra pals, and you can also check and see if he has anything good, because he might have something you haven't caught yet or something that has a lot of good stats on it. Like I don't have a gobfin yet, but go through and look. Sometimes he has hidden gems. There's also a black market merchant. I'll let you find him on your own. I will give you a hint. There are some caves that he is in, but he can have some really cool pals. So make sure and check out the black market merchant as well. Tip 19, back to base. If you are leaving raids on, please, for the love of all that's good, change your structures from being wood to stone and or metal. My raids are off. I like the look of wood, so I've left a lot of this wood. But if you change your structure to stone and put up some barriers, you're a lot less likely to come home and have a bunch of people show up and burn your house down. So please, if you're going to leave raids on, make sure you have defenses. If you're going to take raids off, build with whatever you want. The wood's actually quite cool and fun to build with. You can make a lot of neat things with your structures in your house, and I like the way it feels like a log cabin. So for me, raids are staying off for now, but whatever you want to do, you can do a lot with the different materials that you can build with. But please defend your place if you're leaving raids on. It will make your life a lot easier. Tip 20, don't be afraid to go after bosses, alphas, and dungeons pretty early on. In your technology tree, ancient technology, you can get an egg incubator, a small food sack, and a grappling gun early on, and a PAL condenser. These are all things you're going to want to unlock as soon as possible. And if you go into your map, you can see these little circles. These are different bosses. I beat a lot of these early ones. Some I've kind of skipped and I need to go back and get. But Chillet's level 11. You can go get that first point really early. Pen King's level 15. Catress, level 23. Don't sell yourself short. There's also dungeons around here that are quite easy too. Do dungeons and bosses early on. Do your tower boss. The tower boss I recommend leveling up a bit more than these other. But go kill Chillet. I mean, maybe capture Chillet. But beat Chillet, capture Chillet. You can do this more than once. It does give you the ancient technology point only the first time. But then you can unlock the egg hatchery. And that is super, super useful to have. So don't be afraid of going and doing those things early on. The next thing for you is tip 21. Wow, guys, we are moving up. Tip 21, mark things on your map, and it's going to be different if you're on keyboard, but I press E. Let's say I had a really cool vendor I found over here, the black market vendor. We can go in here and I can just mark it with whatever I want. So, or let's say there was a cool mob I wanted to get, and I knew he was going to be there, or maybe I wanted to build my house here. And you can always delete the markers later, but very, very useful. And you see this bar at the top? That's showing me the transport up there, the transport spot. But if I had a marker like right over there, it would show the marker as well. So I can show you real quick here. Let's go in and mark that. Now we have a marker on the map. If we turn, we'll see it. There we go. It's not going to show huge distances because otherwise your little bar at the top will get flooded with a lot of these markers. But it will show relatively close distances, and it'll help you, especially if you get lost easily. So make use of those markers. The next thing for you is tip 22. I didn't know this for a surprisingly long time. The journals you find out in the world. Go over here to options under survival guide. They're in here. There's so much cool stuff. Read through those. I think you guys will like them. I went online and read through them. I want to wait and click through these until I've found them all. But definitely go read those journals. There's some actual neat backstory. Tip 23. If you get stuck in the world or otherwise can't move, get somewhere you can't get out of, use this respawn button. I'm not going to click it because what it does is it offs your character and then you respawn alive. So only use it when you need to. But that is there just in case you get stuck, and you might use this more than you think because it is early access, guys. Tip number 24, guys. Make use of your PAL deck. There's so much useful information here, not just the numbers and all that, but you can see Spark it here. I've caught 7 of 10. You can see his work suitabilities, handiwork, generating electricity, transporting. He can drop electric organs. He has his PAL deck entry. And for the longest time, I didn't know you can click here and see habitat. Here's his daytime habitat. Here's his nighttime habitat. You can get a lot of useful information from this PAL deck. So make sure and check that out and make use of it. It's going to make your life a lot easier. For instance, if you're hunting Daydream during the daytime, you're going to be sorely disappointed because Daydream only spawns at nighttime. And tip 25, in options, survival guide. Go through and read this whole thing. It might take you 10-15 minutes, but that is going to make your life in Palworld so much easier. Especially pay attention to the Elements tab, because although some of your pals might have aspects that look a bit like a Pokemon that you may know, your weaknesses and strengths are not the same. It is a different weakness and strength system, so grab a screenshot of this, grab a picture of it. Keep this one in mind because I find I keep going back and thinking to Pokemon strengths and weaknesses when I need to be paying attention to this. It is going to help you a lot with your boss battles because let's say ground like Anubis is strong against electric. You may need to know that at some point, guys. Hint, hint, I won't tell you too much. I don't want to spoil a ton for you. So that takes us to the end of tip 25. And the last thing for you is take your time, guys. I know, what is it? Smell the flowers is the saying. I think smell the roses, something like that. I'm 100 hours in the game. I have not beat all the bosses. I have not discovered the entire map, and I don't mind. You're only going to see these areas for the first time one time. You're only going to beat these bosses for the first time one time. You can play around, have fun with breeding, go on adventures, go do dungeons. Whatever is fun to you, do that, and don't worry about hurrying. I hope you guys are having a wonderful time in Palworld, and those 25 tips are useful for you. And if you made it to the end of that video, wow, it was a long one. If you don't mind, click like and subscribe. And if you turn on notifications, I tend to stream more than I post videos. I'd be more than happy to see you all at the streams. So until next time, it was nice seeing you. I hope you have a wonderful day playing Palworld. Bye for now, guys.